My name is Gene Meyer, and I am visiting with Dave Kjome, Extension Educator from Olmsted County, Minnesota, Rochester, Minnesota. We're visiting today, this is September 30th, 1993, at World Dairy Expo. Dave, you were just the past president of Dairy Shrine. Of course, we had a big week with Dairy Shrine and a good year. Do you have any special comments on some of the main things that happened this past year in Dairy Shrine?
I think the main thing that happened, Gene, was first of all, we did move into a change of a secretary and the home of the Dairy Shrine, and so we went through that move, and I think we made a good one. The 21st Century's agreed to take this over a period of time. I think that was important. The other big decision that we faced was a possible increase in annual membership for the Dairy Shrine, and we did increase that $15. Not a desirable thing to prefer to do, but I think the cost of operation is still an excellent buy, and so those are probably the two major things that happened this past year in Dairy Shrine.
Dave, I think one thing would be interesting to get a little background on you. I recall that you were born and raised on Boulder Bridge Farm at Excelsior, Minnesota, and your father, Olaf Kjome, who we interviewed here a few years ago, incidentally just had his 90th birthday last summer, was the very first winner of the Klusendorf Trophy. You were raised at Boulder Bridge Farm. Who owned Boulder Bridge, and what was the history on that, Dave?
Boulder Bridge was owned by George N. and Grace B. Dayton, who owned the Dayton Department Store in Minneapolis. They were very fond people of agriculture, specifically livestock, and they had registered Guernseys, registered Belgians, had their own riding horses, also registered Durocs, Hampshires, and registered Hereford cattle. So they were in all different species of livestock. Great people had a great interest in that area, and so they lived in Minneapolis in the wintertime. In the summer, they'd come out and live at their home right on Lake Minnetonka, where the Boulder Bridge Farm central location was.
There aren't many setups like that anymore. There just aren't many people. And also then, Dave, you've had a very varied career. You went to Iowa State University and are a member of the judging team. You spent some time in the American Guernsey Association, and then you went to Tri-State Breeders. You spent some time as an agricultural loan officer with a bank, I believe, and then went back in Extension. I'd like to hear your comments, Dave, on how the business of farming, of dairy farming, has changed as you've seen it not only in Minnesota but other parts of the Midwest.
Well, Gene, it is changing. It's an ever-changing industry like a lot of them are in our country, and I guess I grew up on a very small farm. My father had, first of all, 70 acres, purchased an additional 40, 110-acre farm. We milked about 30 to 40 registered Guernseys. In those days and age, it was difficult then, too. The cost of operation, but the exposure that people have today, the amount of debt a lot of people take, and the capital that's needed is much more than we ever saw on our farm. The other thing, we're seeing a lot of liquidations of the smaller farms in the upper Midwest. Yes, that concerns me, and I hate to see anybody exit, but I think it's a lot of people who are getting to retirement age where their children have not made a decision not to stay on the farm. They've probably gone on to some other career, maybe in some school, trade school, maybe in a professional position, but I think a lot of our young people have exited and migrated from the dairy farms, and therefore there's just probably not anybody to take over the farm.
And aren't you seeing some people getting into the farming business without the farm backgrounds that we used to think was so necessary? These are people more interested in business. They've gone to college. They've learned to be business people rather than just farm people.
I think that's the key, Gene, and that's where a lot of people, we see a lot of young people coming back into our county in southeast Minnesota now that have been to college. They've got their four-year degree. Some of them work for agribusiness, received some exposure and practical training and education there, but they found out that farm is still a good challenge and opportunity, and they do come back with a business mind and run it in a way that makes them money and also offers them a quality of life.
And they also need today to find ways so they can get away from the farm some. I just looked at the people around here at Dairy Expo today, and they come from quite a distance. They can't be tied down to that farm every day of the year like they used to be, can they?
I think that's true, and that's one thing that bothers a lot of families that are probably milking 40 to 45, 50, 60 cows today, is that they cannot get away on a short-term basis into town to watch their children, extracurricular activities, and mom may go with the kids, dad would like to be there, but it's milking time, and so I think we're seeing that changing, but these people with bigger farms do have an opportunity to get more time away, weekends and probably for holidays and that.
One other thing that's changed just as much as farming, Dave, is extension. And you've been, I remember one time you were called a county agent and extension director. Now you're extension educator. What is the role of Extension today compared to what it was when you first started out in Extension?
I think, Gene, what my big challenge and opportunity was in Extension at the time I came back into it, it's a very people-oriented organization in that a lot of our programs were geared for production agriculture. I think that's a very important part of it, but we have a lot of people who have come into that area. I think our challenge today is to work in the big issues, the big picture things like environment, children at risk, and so we're seeing more time and effort being put into those and probably just in trying to increase the production of corn or milk per cow. We still do that, but the big picture, because on the national, the state, and the county level, these are the issues that are really challenges and opportunities for the people in legislative positions, in political positions, and we have to kind of dance to the drum of those people too.
You're not spending quite as much time then on farms as you used to.
I'm not, but I miss that, and I still do because I value that. I think that's very important that we get to know families and work with them, but the traditional Extension today with the new younger people coming on, I think it's a new ball game, and they probably do not have quite as much time and effort. We're not really promoted and not really say, hey, go out, get out and visit these farms. We don't work with commodity groups as much as we did, but I still do. I'm kind of the old model in the antique, I guess. So.
Dave, I think another thing it would be interesting to be in Extension, living in Rochester, Minnesota, which is the home of the Mayo Clinic. That must be an unusual place to live and to do Extension work. Do you have much contact with the clinic or the medical profession up there at all?
I have a lot of people that call me, have small acreage in farms. Some of them have business farms. A lot of people in Mayo Clinic, IBM, International Business Machines, also located there. And we have a lot of professional people that have a real interest in agriculture. I even see that in curricular activities, school activities, church activities, people always wondering about what the tempo and what the environment is out there in the farm. So a lot of our people coming into Rochester come out of small farms, small communities, North Dakota, South Dakota, Iowa, Illinois. So we still have that strong rural influence that is underwriting these people. And I think when they once raised in a farm and reared there, you don't take it out of them totally.
Right. We have now how many members in Dairy Shrine, roughly?
We're right at 14,780 people, which is great.
Do you think with the decline in dairy farms and dairy farm numbers, is this organization going to be able to continue to grow in numbers in the next, let's look down the road 5 or 10 years from now? How many members do you think we'll have 10 years from now?
I think that we will be looking at, a gain of around 500 to 800 people a year as possible, new members, and that we could be expanding, but we're going to have to look at new horizons, new industries, new people. Yesterday we were talking about Dairy Goat Association being interested in it. We got a lot of processors and industry people that I think we need to include them. We've probably been a little more production-oriented, and Dairy Shrine has done very well since 1949 at the time of its inception, but I think you have to look to the future, have some vision, do some long-range planning, and kind of plan and plot of how you're going to continue to have an influence and impact on this great dairy industry, and with it I think will be some change.
One of the things I think since we are doing this in 1993, it might be worth just mentioning the people who were honored at the banquet last night. Art Nesbitt, president of NASCO International, was the guest of honor. Stu Rao, a well-known California milking shorthorn breeder. And who were the pioneers, Dave?
Well, one of them was a very favorite of mine, was Bob Appleman. Bob worked at the university, did a lot of work with me in county level, helped a lot of farmers, and had a tremendous impact. We also had Bill Etkin out there, Gordon Cairns, Dean Cairns, known him years ago, and you do too, judging he did. And then we also honored Harvey Schwartz, and Harvey was another very grassroots, very fine gentleman that you spent time and I did out on these farms. I remember checking brown Swiss tattoos on them and classifying, and really worked a lot with Harvey. A great guy, as all of them were.
One of the things that's on exhibit at the Dairy Shrine is his panel of all the judges' ribbons and things that he's done throughout the world. Yeah. One other thing that I think is when I've noticed this week, Dave, that so many people were enjoying seeing was the show box that your father used when he was at Boulder Ridge Farm the year that he got the first Klusendorf Award. That's been, and the equipment that he used then, it's changed a lot today. Yeah, and I noticed all these cattle are being body clipped now, and they don't use as many brushes as did when your dad was.
We moved Dad here just into an independent senior citizen complex this summer. I had an opportunity again to go through some of his things, and brings back a lot of fond memories and tears at times too.
I'm sure it does. Well, Dave, it's been a real pleasure visiting you today. Good luck with you in the future, and be sure to give our best to your father.
Will do. Thank you, Gene. You're a great guy. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dave.